days later at Georgia Tech. We're now joined by Hall of Famer to be Michael Bishop, Kansas State great All-American, who will be honored when Kansas State plays Baylor, as Craig mentioned, November the 11th. The on-campus salutes released today. Michael, of course, has been a part of this show before. Love to have him on. Michael, as it gets closer, I know the Hall of Fame itself is great, but they've now given you the date, right? The game with Baylor on November the 11th.
Yes, sir. November the 11th. It's going to be a great opportunity for both teams to play well against each other. You know, I got to pull for K-State because, you know, that's what I bleed purple, but at the same time, I know Baylor's going to be ready. I know Baylor's going to come in and put on a good show like they always do. You know, they've been on to put together a great team. But K-State as well. K-State is, you know, is a team that's up on the rise. They don't get the respect that they deserve, but they'll be ready to play. And for me, you know, going in there and getting honored as far as going into the College Football Hall of Fame was a great, I feel a great accomplishment for me, but I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that without my teammates and the coaches that supported me, you know, I wouldn't be in this situation. But to have two things go at one time, have a great game and then have a great reception, you know, I know the K-State people, you know, love it whenever I come back, so I'm going to be feeling great.
You mentioned the lack of respect at times, and that is true. Kansas State won the Big 12 last year. They were fantastic. Coach Kleiman, what he's done. And yet this year they're not picked to win. Texas picked to win the Big 12. TCU, Kansas State, Oklahoma in that mix too. Do you kind of just, is that kind of part of, unfortunately, being at Kansas State even in the Bill Snyder years?
Well, you know, it's been like that for a long time. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, if you go to K-State, you know that would happen every year. But the biggest thing is you prepare like you're a national championship team. Week in, week out, you know, do the right thing and let it make the chips fall where they may. I trust that because I know that if you get a group of kids that believe in themselves, you know, anybody can win on any given Saturday. And it's all about doing your job. And I know that Coach Kleiman is going to have those guys ready to play week in, week out, especially November 11th.
On that note, Michael, we've had you on the show before, as Smokey mentioned, and I keep track of that stuff. So it was back in November of last year, right before K-State came to Waco and absolutely obliterated Baylor. And little did we know at the time that K-State was about to make a heck of a run all the way to winning the Big 12 championship. So since we haven't talked to you, I know it's been a little while since then, but just what was that like on your end to watch that team go on the run that they did, despite the Sugar Bowl loss? That's another thing, but just to go win a Big 12 title and do it in the fashion they did, how cool was that?
Well, you know, when you're part of, I say part of an organization, when you're part of culture, you're part of tradition, you expect to win. It doesn't always go as you expected, but at the same time, I am definitely proud of those guys that put on that Wildcat uniform because, like I said, a lot of people count them out. You know, even I was at the Big 12 game, and there were people that, you know, were talking to me, you know, on both sides that, you know, didn't know how the outcome was going to come. But me, I've always been, hey, we'll put it out in the end. I didn't know that it was going to come down to that field goal. But at the same time, I'm glad that it did because, you know, everybody has to be accountable to do their job, and special teams did their job that week. So, in that game as well. So, you know, for me, you know, it's really a big deal because, like I said, I'm proud of it. I'm part of that. I'm part of that tradition. Regardless, you know, if they win the Big 12 championship or lose to Alabama, I'm still part of that. So it's forever, you know, created in my mind, my body, my soul. So regardless, I'm always standing up for K-State.
What was the most excited outwardly that you'd ever seen Bill Snyder? Because he's a pretty reserved guy.
Well, I told the story before. When we had the opportunity to play Nebraska at Manhattan, that was the most that I've seen him celebrate. That was the first time I've seen tears fall out of his eyes. That was the first time that I've seen him, you know, be human. You know, because, you know, Bill is Kansas. You know, and everybody respects Bill. Everybody has their opinion about Bill. Everybody has always seen that straight-faced coach type Bill. But I got the chance to see him be human, and for me, that was something I had never seen because he's always, you know, he stays on us. He's always, you know, do the right thing, you know, reset, run this play again. You know, Bishop, what are you thinking on this route? You know, why'd you throw that ball? You know, stuff like that. So I got to see him be human. And that alone, for me, was one of the greatest moments. You know, along with the win against Nebraska, I got to see him relax. I got to see him smile. I got to see him cry. I got to be in that moment with him, and that's something that I always remember.
Well, they were the 800-pound gorilla and had a lot of people had beaten up on Kansas State for many, many years. What was it about Bill Snyder? And they turned around. I think it's the greatest rebuilding job in college football history, and he actually did it twice at K-State. What was it about the belief, the dream, the vision that made you believe in K-State and Bill Snyder?
Well, he did a good job of getting young guys that didn't get all the glory in high school, didn't get all the glory in junior college, didn't get all the glory wherever they transferred in from. He was able to get those guys together and tell them, hey, you have an opportunity at K-State. I believe in you. I believe you make plays. You deserve to play on Saturdays. You deserve to play big-time football. And all we needed was an opportunity and somebody who believed in us. That's all. And once we seen that in Kansas State and Bill Snyder, we played, lights out. Whenever I really sit back and think about, I was having a conversation with one of my assistant coaches this morning, and I said, I really stepped back and I thought about it, and I for the first time, I actually just sat down and watched the highlight from 97, 98. And I'm like, man, we did some amazing things that people would never thought we would have done at that time. And so I know that the group of guys that Coach Snyder has been able to bring in during his career at K-State, those guys were, they was nobody trying to tell somebody something. And he gave us the motivation, the dedication, everything that we needed to go out and perform on Saturdays. And like I say, I'm forever grateful because nobody else was giving us a chance. And we had that chance and we came together and we played some good football.
Michael Bishop with us, soon to be a part of the Hall of Fame, will be honored, in fact, when K-State plays Baylor later on this year in November with us on 365 Sports.
Did that surprise you when you had to, fight your way onto a D1 roster given your skill set? Or that, Michael, the last time we had you on, you told us you could still throw a ball, 80 yards in the air if you wanted to. Those things kind of stay with you. But was it weird for you? Was it hard and to deal with that when finally somebody like Bill Snyder comes along and says, "You're my guy"?
Well, it's funny that you asked that question because we just finished practice. So at the end of practice, I just threw a 70-yard bomb to one of our receivers because he told me he could not run my arm, so I still got it. But going forward. Coming out of high school, I'm from Texas. Everybody knows about Texas high school football. I was on a pretty good team in high school, and we had, we had some great guys on that team. We had some guys that did enough to be in, to play D1 football, but nobody really was giving us a chance because we wasn't a big name school. We were a small 4A school, but we had great athletes. Nobody really gave us a shot. So when it came down to, me playing and baseball with the Indians and stuff like that, when I was given the opportunity to go to K-State, that's all I wanted. I didn't care how many quarterbacks was on the roster. I didn't care how many, Hall of Fame guys they had or how many All-Americans. I just wanted a good opportunity to go in and be able to do what I wanted to do all my life, and that's play football. And given that opportunity, the rest is history. And so, like I said, I'm forever thankful to have that opportunity because no one else was really giving to me because, a lot of people wanted me to go DB, wanted me to play receiver, wanted me to, even play running back. So I knew that I had talent. I knew that I had skills. I just needed somebody to believe in me as Mike Bishop quarterback. And K-State, took me in.
You went to Blinn and, of course, had a great run there with a national championship. Cam Newton went to Blinn and won a national championship on his way to eventually Florida, but Auburn. But you're also from Willis High School, and they have a young man and getting a lot of attention. Dad went to Baylor, and DJ Lagway, who's committed to Florida, and a great player at Willis High School. Your thoughts about that? Have you seen him play?
I've seen him play. I've been knowing the Lagways all my life. We grew up together. His dad was my running back in high school. Our families know each other. DJ is an outstanding young man. He's an outstanding football player. He's an outstanding quarterback. I think that his ceiling hasn't even been reached yet. There's so much more that I believe he's going to accomplish along his path. And my biggest thing is I pray that he stays healthy because a young man can play. He can try to play football. He's probably better than me. Probably better than his dad. So my hat goes off to him. I just want to see him finish, have a great year, take Willis to the playoffs, if they get to the state championship, go win it, get that hardware, and then go ahead and start his college career Florida. I think that once he gets to Florida, I don't know how many quarterbacks coming back or who else they're recruiting, but he has to know that it's going to be a challenge. Nothing is given to you, but you have to earn everything that you get. And I really truly believe that he has an opportunity to go be a big time player for Florida.
Yeah, and by the way, former Baylor receiver and a speedster, and Chris Platt, another young man that came out of Willis High School that's developed out, as well. All right, Michael, so K-State, defending champions, they aren't picked to win, but we will see you in November when you're honored on campus by, of course, the National Football Hall of Fame and Fidelity Investments. Looking forward to it. Always appreciate you. Are you still doing the daily Dave, whatever it is, on your Twitter feed?
I'm still doing it. I'm still hanging on, man. What's so funny about it? I think I mentioned this before is that I meet all kind of people along my journey, my life journey. And the other day I was in my daughter got engaged, so I flew up to Kansas. So when walking through the airport, I'm thinking that this young lady wants to talk to me about K-State football, want me to find something, and she says, "I follow you on Twitter. I love your post this morning." So that made me know that I'm still doing my service because I'm still blessing people. I just thought about putting a post out every day and didn't think nothing of it, but I'm glad that people are reading my posts. People are sharing my posts. They are telling me their experiences. They're telling me, this post, brightened my day up today because I was in this type of mood. And so as long as I can be of service and I can, there's breath in me to help out somebody, and it may be somebody in India that's reading my post. But if they're able to take my post and say, "Hey, I'm going to make it through the day," and my job is done, and I love doing it.
Michael Bishop, former Kansas State quarterback with us, who will be inducted into the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame with an incredible class. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We might try to get back with you sometime later in the season. We appreciate your access and also love watching you play. No question. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Go Bears. Go K-State.
There you go. Michael Bishop, former K-State quarterback in that game, the A&M, that double overtime loss.